Imagine a scorching day, a lone crow dying of thirst. It finds a pond, shimmering in the sunlight, but something feels wrong. The water seems alive, and the shadows beneath it whisper secrets no living creature should hear. What would you do if the thing you desperately needed most was the very thing that could trap you forever? Stay with me, because what happens next will shock you, and change the way you see thirst, fear, and survival forever. In the wide field under the blazing sun, the crow swooped low, eyes searching for water. Its wings felt scorching, unbearable. Its throat dry, like burnt paper. It spotted a small pond. The clear water shimmered under the sunlight. But as it approached, a stench of rotting flesh hit its senses. It froze, heart pounding. Around the pond, insects screamed in sharp cries. And shadows moved in ways it could not recognize. But its thirst outweighed its fear. It stared down into the water. The water rippled strangely, its own reflection twisted and warped. As if someone else was smiling at it. Its neck tightened as though invisible hands were watching. The crow leaned closer. The water touched its beak, cold and wet. But suddenly, something slammed against its wings violently. A strange, shrill sound pierced its ears. It flapped away with all its strength. Everything around fell silent, yet the unsettling feeling lingered. And its throat remained parched, unchanged. If you want, I can continue this story to reach an even more shocking and terrifying climax, keeping the tension high. Do you want me to continue it? The crow circled above the pond, wings trembling from the sudden attack. Its feathers, slicked with sweat under the relentless sun, rustled with each frantic flap. The air around it carried a strange metallic tang, like blood and water. The pond below, once seeming ordinary, now shimmered with a sinister glow. Ripples crawled across the surface as if something beneath stirred. The crow's sharp eyes scanned the shallow edges, searching for any sign of movement. Nothing seemed visible, yet every instinct screamed danger. It perched on a twisted, blackened tree branch, overlooking the water. The branch creaked under its weight, groaning like a dying thing. A faint whisper drifted through the air, carried by the hot, still wind. It was almost imperceptible, yet unmistakably a voice. Drink, it seemed to hiss, low and hollow, seeping into the crow's mind. The crow flinched, feathers ruffling violently. No sound should speak to a bird, yet the voice clawed at its consciousness, urging it downward. Its throat ached, burning with unbearable thirst. Despite the warning, the compulsion grew stronger. The crow lifted into the air, wings slicing through the heat-racked atmosphere. But its eyes never left the water. The reflection below was no longer its own. A face swam beneath the surface, pale and twisted, lips pulled into a crooked grin. Eyes black as coal stared directly at the crow, unblinking. The reflection spoke in the same hollow whisper. Drink, or perish. The crow's heart pounded against its chest, each beat echoing in its skull. Its talons gripped the branch tighter. Every instinct screamed to flee, yet the ache in its throat demanded obedience. Suddenly, the water erupted. A dark shape surged upward, splashing violently. The crow screeched, wings flailing. The pond was no longer shallow. Shadows rose from the depths, twisting in impossible forms. Something with too many limbs and eyes like molten glass reached toward the crow. The air grew thick and heavy, as if every breath were dragging stones into its lungs. The sun above dimmed unnaturally, casting a sickly green light over the field. Insects fell silent, even the wind held its breath. The crow's mind raced, images flashing, its ancestors, the forest, the emptiness of sky. Fear surged like fire through every vein, drowning reason. The reflection spoke again. Thirst can never be quenched. The crow flapped frantically, trying to lift away, but the shadows stretched like living chains. Branches twisted into claws, reaching, snapping. A foul, coppery scent filled the air, choking and suffocating. The crow spiraled upward, wings beating furiously. But the pond below twisted into a vortex of black water, pulling everything toward its center. The voice followed, echoing inside its skull, promising the impossible: relief, salvation. If only it drank. The crow's vision blurred. The sun burned red behind clouds that had no wind, casting shadows that writhed over the field like snakes. It tried to scream, but no sound emerged. The world itself seemed to bend, edges rippling like water. And then, a hand, pale and skeletal, rose from the pond. It held a cup of water, glinting unnaturally in the twisted light. The crow froze midair, its mind torn between thirst and terror. The water in the cup reflected not the sky, but the darkness of the pond. And inside it swirled shapes that whispered secrets the crow could not comprehend. Every instinct screamed danger, yet every fiber of its being ached for relief. Its wings quivered uncontrollably. The shadows below writhed faster, reaching, clawing, demanding. It hovered, suspended between dread and desire. As the skeletal hand slowly lowered the cup toward the pond's edge. The crow's talons itched to strike, but a strange compulsion held it in place. Then the surface of the pond broke with a sharp crack, like ice shattering beneath invisible weight. Something unseen surged upward, rushing toward the crow with terrifying speed. The wind roared in its ears, deafening, blinding. Its wings beat frantically, muscles screaming. But the vortex below was relentless. The voice came again, closer, louder, consuming all thought. Drink, or suffer forever. And in that instant, the crow felt the unbearable truth. This was not thirst. This was a trap of longing. A nightmare born from desire. And the pond was alive. It writhed beneath the sun's unnatural glare. Dark water curling like serpents, pulling at the edges of reality itself. The crow's shadow stretched long and thin, merging with the writhing shapes below. Its wings struck the air in a frenzy, beating faster, harder, until the world itself seemed to shudder. The cup hovered inches from the surface. The water inside gleamed with a strange light, inviting, seductive, deadly. The crow tilted its head, its sharp eyes fixed on the glimmering liquid. Its throat burned beyond endurance. Its body screamed for escape. Its mind teetered on the edge of surrender. Below, the pond swirled, black and alive, while shadows writhed hungrily at its reflection. The crow inhaled sharply, feathers ruffling in panic. And then, without warning, a sudden silence fell, heavier than night. Even the sun seemed to pause. The world held its breath. And the crow, trembling on the edge of fate, had to choose, to drink, or to fly into the unknown. The crow hovered above the pond, wings trembling, heart hammering in its chest. The skeletal hand still held the cup, motionless, water glimmering with that impossible light. The shadows beneath it writhed, restless, whispering promises it could not understand. For a moment, time seemed to stretch, long, silent, heavy. The crow's throat burned, every nerve screaming for relief. But something inside it stirred, a spark of clarity, fragile yet undeniable. It realized that no drink could quench this thirst. This pond, this darkness, was not meant to satisfy. It was a trap. With a sudden, sharp exhale, the crow pulled back. Its wings caught the wind, slicing through the heavy, still air. The shadows lunged, fingers of black water snapping and twisting, but the crow rose higher. The pond shrieked with a sound that was more felt than heard. A deep, resonating echo that seemed to claw at its bones. Yet the crow did not look back. It rose above the twisted light, above the blackened water, above the whispering shadows that hungered for its surrender. The sun, though dim and strange, began to shine more clearly as the crow climbed. The wind returned, cool and steady, lifting its feathers. Its parched throat still ached, but the ache was now tempered by the knowledge of freedom. The pond shrank beneath it, dark and small, like a nightmare fading with the dawn. The crow circled once, high above the field, and for the first time that day, it felt the emptiness of the sky without fear. The thirst had not vanished entirely, but the hunger for survival, for life, had become stronger. The crow angled its wings, catching a steady current. The sun touched its feathers warmly, not oppressively. And as it flew toward the horizon, the black pond below shrank into memory, its whispers fading into silence. The crow would thirst again, and the world would still hold its dangers. But it had learned a truth far older than fear. Some temptations are not worth drinking, and some shadows cannot reach those who refuse to surrender. It soared onward, alone yet unbroken, the sky stretching endlessly, open and free. And for the first time, the crow knew that survival itself could be sweeter than any drink.